Let me record. Right, so once again, warm greetings to all of you colleagues. Welcome to our lecture 6 in accounting 1B for this 2024 academic year. This is video A. So what are we looking at in this particular engagement? We'll be looking at question 2.7 that I gave you guys as a homework. So I want you guys to have a look at page 54 in your prescribed textbook. And I'm going to read the required section thereof, and then we'll address the required section. So what are they saying on the required section? They are saying use the given information and draw up the debtors and creditors control accounts in the general ledger of JPEG stores. All postings may be dated 31 March 20.9, meaning to say everything we are dealing with in the ledger accounts, they should relate to the month of March 20.9. Very important. So what I want you to observe is they want you to do something like this. Oh, sorry. Let me just so I'm just taking the formats really. Okay. I just want to change a few things. It's fine now. No. Okay, let me just close this document, guys, and reopen it again, because there's information that it had taken out that I don't want to lose. So let me reopen the document. Okay. Okay, perfect. So now everything is resolved. So we are looking at question 2.7, and they want you to draw up the debtors control, which is something more or less like what you have here. And they also want you to draw up a creditors control, which is something more or less what you have over here. So what I would do for the purpose of having a format in place, I'm just going to take this table, and then I'll just copy this, and then I'll paste it at the bottom so that we can use this as part of our formats in answering question 2.7 that I gave you guys as a homework. I hope you attempted it. Did you guys attempt it?
Yes, sir.
Michelle, did you attempt it?
Sir, by my defense, I wrote a test today.
Oh, you had a test
preparing.
Oh,
yesterday.
No, it's fine. I understand. Oh, yes, yeah, you did mention. All right. It's fine. I get it. So that's the format I just want us to use for our debtors control account. I'm going to draw up the one for the creditors just now. It will pretty much be the same, but different naming in terms of wording here. So I'll just use this. And then just right at the bottom there. Okay. Okay. Why this thing is freezing and acting up here? Okay. So let's look at the information. I'm back on page 54 while I wait for this to be fine. So on page 54, they say the following information was taken from the books of JPEG stores, a registered VAT vendor that uses the perpetual inventory system. So what do they have? Number one, they have totals as at the 1st of March 20.9. According to the debtors list, they've got a balance of 24,000 rands and 30. According to the creditors list, they've got 19,530. Then we've got transactions for March 20.9, on which all amounts include VAT where applicable. So anything that we are looking at now in the table that they've provided on page 54, it entails to the transactions that took place in the month of March. So what does that tell me about the totals as at the 1st of March 20.9, which they gave you? Those are your opening balances for your debtors control, as well as for your creditors control, which I'm gonna indicate here now. So by now you should already know that a creditor's control would decrease on the debit side and it increases on the what? On the credit side. Does it make sense? This you should
Yes,
know
sir.
that the creditor's control, it increases on the credit, decreases on the debit side. A debtor's control, it increases on the debit, and then of course it decreases to the, on the credit side. That's very important to take note of that that difference, right? So anyways, without further ado, let's have a look quickly now at the information that we have on page 54, and we want to transfer it here. So the first one I want us to do is to, I want us to use from page 54 is the opening balances that they give you in form of the debtors list balance of 24,000 rands and 30, and then of course the creditors list balance. So what you do for the debtors list balance of 24,030, you will use that as the opening balance in your debtors control on the debit side. That will be on the 1st of March 20.9. So that will be your balance brought down of how much? 24? 24 what, guys?
24,030.
24,000 rands and 30. That is the opening balance for what? For your debtors control. And then for the creditors control, on the credit side, you also have the opening balance on the 1st of March, guys. And that's what you use as your balance brought down on which date? Sorry, balance brought down of how much? 19,530. Does it make sense? Hello?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's what you do first. So what have you done? You have transferred the balances. Then the next thing I want you guys to do, let's look at the next transaction, the first transaction according to that table. What have they stated there? It's total what? Total cash sales. Do you see that? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Now, total cash sales, does it have anything to do with the debtors control or not? Yes or no? It's cash
Yes.
sales, mind you.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. So if it's cash sales, it cannot be anything affiliated with the debtors control, because debtors control, it's all about credit sales, guys, and us receiving the money or payment for the credit sales that we have performed. And then with the creditors control, it's about credit purchases. So we are buying stock on credit, and then of course we also pay for it. So when I look at that one, the first one where they say total cash sales of merchandise, it does not in any way affect the debtors control. Are we together, guys? That 24,560, you don't use it anyway. So next to it in your book, just write ignore, since it's not credit sales. That's your reason there. So you don't use it anyway. Total cash sales, you don't use that anyway in the debtors control. Why? Because anything and everything that comes here, it should have to do with credit sales. Credit sales, where you are selling goods, which is what you will be debiting, and also in the case where a customer is paying for the goods they acquired on credit, which will of course be credited to the debtors control. That's what you put in the debtors control. So when I look at that first transaction, total cash sales of merchandise does not affect the debtors control. So you ignore that. They will put it just to confuse you guys. Just be aware of that. Are we together? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
So cash sales also doesn't affect the creditors control.
It does not affect the creditors control either.
That has to do with purchases on, is it
Yeah.
purchases on credit as well?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
purchases of inventory on credit. So critically, what you need to remember about debtors control and creditors control is that it has to do with everything that is being done on credit by the company. So what does it mean? I mean, everything that is being done by the company on credit. How? Number one, a case where they are selling goods on credit, and a case where the company is buying goods or inventory from the suppliers on credit. That's what debtors control and creditors control is all about. So it's about anything we are dealing with. I mean, anything that we are buying on credit or anything that we are selling on credit. Does it make sense? So
Yes,
the
sir.
key word is credit, 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 credit. Anything to do with a cash sale doesn't affect your debtors control, doesn't affect creditors control. Anything to do with the cash purchases of merchandise or cash purchases of stock, it doesn't affect the debtors control, it doesn't affect the creditors control. Are we together, guys?
Yes, sir.
So that's why I'm saying that first transaction where they say total cash. So the keyword there is cash sales. Just because they said cash sales, it's not credit sales, obviously. So we ignore, we don't use it anyway. Then we go on to the next one. Total credit sales of merchandise. Do you see this? Total credit sales of merchandise. Did you see that one?
Yes, sir.
Now that one, it goes to the debtors control. Why? Because debtors control, it's all about credit sales or sales being made on credit. So now, because we were selling to the customers on credit, is it going to increase or decrease the debtors control? If we are selling goods on credit, is it going to increase?
Increases.
It's going to increase. So which side does the debtors control increase? Debit side or the credit side?
Debit side.
Debit side. They didn't give you the dates, but what you would assume is that this is everything to do with the 31st of March. All right. And then you're going to write sales, guys. Already it includes VAT. So you can write sales and VAT, but you don't need to really write that. Or you can just write sales. And which journal is this coming from? The total credit sales of merchandise. Obviously, guys, it is associated with the debtors journal. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
All
Yes.
we are doing this, guys. This is everything, yes, we are doing. We're just following this. We're just following this. That's exactly what is going on in that question 2.7. Right. So let me go back to our actual. So how much is the amount? It's 141,734.81. That's what you put on the debit side. And you're done. So what you do is everything you have used, make sure you tick next to it, okay? So that you don't make a mistake. So the first one, you tick it because You're not going to use it. Total credit sales of merchandise, you've already used it, you take it. The next one, there's total of the debtors control in the cash book receipts. Total of the debtors control in the cash book receipts. It means we have received money or payment from customers. So when customers pay us for the goods that they had acquired on credit from us, does that increase or does that decrease the debtors control?
Decrease.
It decreases the debtors control. So it is this particular one here. It is this. Does it make sense? Bank, cash receipts journal, and then you put in the figure. Right. So that's what you go and put over here. So we're just going to assume 31st of March. Then you write the bank. And then folio is going to be the cash receipts journal. And how much is the amount? 41,591.12 cents. And we are done with that transaction, colleagues. Tick next to it because you're not going to go back to it. Then you go on to the next one. Total of the creditors control. The moment you see creditors control, you know that, oh, that's something that is supposed to affect this particular ledger account. So let's read. Total creditors control where? In the cash book payments journal. Now, whenever we pay our credit to our creditors, does that reduce this balance or does that increase that balance whenever we pay them for the goods that we acquired on credit from them? Does that increase the creditors control or does that decrease the creditors control? That's my question.
Decrease.
It what?
Yeah, decreases.
It decreases. Yeah. It has to decrease because I mean, if they were owing 19, if we're owing 19 and we pay a certain amount, definitely it has to go down. So it's typically this particular one here in your notes because I want you to see the connection. So it's basically this. Bank, cash book, cash payment journal, from the cash book payment journal, then you put in the amount in the creditors control. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So there you're going to write 31 March. 31 March, and then you're going to write bank, cash payment journal, and the amount 34,962.06, like that. And once you're done, you tick next to that. Are we together, guys?
Yes,
Then
sir.
we go on to the, yeah. Did you guys understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. The next one, settlement discount granted to debtors in the general ledger of 9,018 rands 88 cents. Now, notice it's something to do with the debtors and it's settlement discount granted. When we offer discount to these guys, does that increase or does that reduce their debtors control balance?
Reduce.
It reduces their debtors control balance. So it's basically supposed to be credited because obviously we give a customer discount when they pay on time. So that is this one here. According to your notes, settlement discount granted from the general journal and you put it to the credit side of your debtors control account. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Awesome. So we're going to go to the debtors control. Then you're going to write the settlement discount granted. How much is the amount? 9,018.88 cents. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Happy so far, guys?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Okay. So that's what you do with that one. And then you tick next to it. Because we are done with that transaction, we're not going back to it. Then you move on to the next one. It's settlement what? discount received from where? From trade creditors.
Creditors.
So it means it's something affiliated with the trade, with the creditors control, right? So now if we receive discount, would that increase our balance that we owe to the creditors, or would that reduce our balance if they give us discount?
Will
I mean, if
increase.
we're supposed to pay 19, to what?
Decrease. Decrease. I said decrease.
Yeah, it will decrease. That's what Matuku said, right?
No, so I said it was going to increase, but
Mm-mm.
now I understand why it's decreasing.
Or why it's decreasing. Yes, yeah.
Yes,
It has
yes,
to
yes.
decrease instead, yeah. Because think about it logically, if you owe the supplier 19,530, if they give you a discount, it means you're going to pay an amount less than the 19,530. So maybe the settlement discount received, like in the case of what we have, it's 4,819. It's going to reduce that to like 15K, you know. So it has to
Yes,
therefore
yes.
be debited on the creditors control. So it will be settlement discount received, like that. Obviously from the general journal, and the amount is going to be 4,819.22 cents, like that. Are we together? Then you tick it off because you're not going to go back to it. Discount previously granted to debtors has been cancelled. That discount of at least 37 rands 99. So the moment I see that it has to do with debtors, I go back here. And then they're saying that a portion of the discount granted has to be cancelled. So if it has to be cancelled, it follows that this amount will be reducing, but it will be reducing by that amount. How would that reduce? Well, we have to debit it, basically. So if the person was supposed to pay us 24,030 and we discounted 9,000, but now we are saying, no, we have to reverse the discount of 37 rands 99. It means we have to debit it. Are we together? 37 rands 99 over there. That's where you put the amount. Are we
So
together, guys?
would this count as like an error?
No,
Or like
it's not. This one is not an error. It's not an error, but it's just a you can consider it more like an error, but I wouldn't say it's an error as such. It's just an issue whereby they are reversing something they've given to a client. It's like, for instance, if we had offered a customer discount of a total amount of 9,000, but if we decide that 9,000 is too much, we want to reduce that amount by 37 rands. It means that this amount will be reducing, but we have to show the reduction by debiting that amount. Does it make sense? We can't show the reduction by putting it to the same side where the amount is already credited. Because otherwise, if we were to put the 37 rands here, it would be like we're increasing the amount of settlement discount we are offering to the client. So because in this case, they're saying they're canceling a portion of the discount that they'd given to the client by 37 rands, it simply means we have to reverse it back. So, and then in this case, it becomes part of your sales. Okay. Or you can simply write it as a reversal settlement discount granted, basically. That's what you can write there. And you put the amount as 37 rands 99. Right. Then you tick it off because you're not going to go back to it. And then another thing they tell you that you've got total of creditors control in the creditors journal. Okay, so that means it's something to do with the creditors control. So it's coming from which journal? Creditors journal. What did I tell you guys about the creditors journal? Here it is. That's the creditors journal. So with the creditors journal, we always record everything to do with the credit purchases that we have performed as a company. Anything that is coming from that journal, it is put to the credit side of our creditors control account. So it means in this case, on the credit side of our creditors control account, we're going to record that amount. 31 March. And then here we're going to write purchases. coming from the creditors journal, and the amount, it's how much? 87,762, 762.48 cents, something like that. That's what you need to do. Making sense?
Yes, sir.
Now, I want you to pay attention to the next transaction. Cash purchases. Does that have anything to do with credit when you look at it?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So what do you do with it? Do you use it anyway in these two accounts? Yes or no?
No.
Exactly. That's the
No,
answer.
sir.
So you simply ignore. Does it make sense? So we're gonna skip that's transaction 13,000, the next transaction of 3,500. All of them, they are cash purchases of merchandise, cash purchases of packaging materials. So you skip those and you leave them out. Then we've got total of creditors control in the creditors allowance. What did I say about the creditors allowance, guys?
It's going
Here
to be
it
on the
is.
debit side.
Exactly. To be on the debit side. Why? Because we are returning the goods we had bought on credit. So here, we're going to write purchases, returns. Purchases, returns. And then it's coming from the creditors allowance journal. And how much is the amount? It's 1,680.33 rand. 33 cents I meant. Something like that. Are we together?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Then we move on to the next one. So we tick off that transaction because we're not going back to it. Then we go on to the next one. Total of the sales returns in the debtors allowance journal. Total of the what? Sales returns in the debtors allowance journal. So it means it's something to do with the debtors control. So anything from the debtors allowance journal is put on which side of the debtors control?
The credit side.
On the credit side, isn't it? So on the credit side of our debtors control, we are going to have sales returns like that. And then it's coming from the debtors allowances journal. And how much is the amount? It's 2,450 rands. 2,450 rands. That will be the amount that goes there. So far, so good, guys.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But there's something that they've put in brackets that I want you to pay attention to. Is it fine? They said all goods sold were standard rated. So now, if I'm looking at this, notice the column that they mentioned about. Oh, sorry, we need to correct this, because it's a sales returns column, not the debtors control column in the debtors allowance. So a sales returns column, it's an amount that will be excluding VAT. So I need to calculate the amount including VAT here.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the catch. That's the catch. This is where they wanted to catch you people. So pay attention to say which column are they referring to. Is it the debtors control? Normally, if it's the debtors control column from any of those journal, it means the amount is already including VAT. But if it's a sales returns column in the debtors allowance journal, just know that column will not be including VAT. So to calculate the amount including VAT, we're going to say 2,450 times what we want. What we want, obviously, is the 115%. Guys, on video B, I'll do this calculation. So let's connect because it's going to cut us off just now. So after it disconnects, let's connect again and then we proceed.
All right, sir.
Wait.